right, we're going to call this meeting to order at 3:05. And Councilman Thornton, would you please give us a blessing?
Dear Heavenly Father, bless this meeting here today and make us make good decisions, have us make good decisions for our people. This has been a beautiful day, and we would appreciate you protecting our troops. It's overseas, it's in harm's way, and that are here in harm's way, and our people. Jesus Christ we pray, amen.
Amen. Roll call, Shelley.
Yes, sir. Dave Wilkinson.
On it.
Don Garvin. Bill England. Harley Buzzard.
Here. After approval. ma'am.
Joe Bird.
On it. After approval. ma'am.
Sean Crittenden.
On it.
Frankie Hargis. Present. Wanda Hatfield. Rex Jordan.
Here.
Dick Lay.
Here.
Curtis Snell.
After approval. ma'am.
Janice Taylor. David Thornton. Victoria Vesquez. Brian Warner. You do have a quorum.
All right, thanks, Shelley.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Yes, Councilman
I'd
Garvin.
like to introduce Dan Hadaway sitting here on the front row. A friend of mine and a friend of yours,
Yeah, he sure is.
Dan Hadaway.
Dan, good to have you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me. Do we hear a motion to approve the minutes May 16, 2016?
So moved.
So moved. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Councilman?
I'd like to amend the agenda,
All right, we have a motion to amend the agenda for which item?
immersion school.
The emergency school application. There's your second.
Second.
Second. All those in favor for amending the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
I'd like for it to go to full council.
The full council tonight. All right, and that's going to be item number 4.
Okay.
Okay. Under new business. Okay, down to reports. Talking Leads Job Corps, Ms. Diane Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You got my report. There was a success story in there on one of our clients who had been laid off from a company and was able to secure another company. He was caught up in the gas and oil industry, and we're going to try to feature somebody every month, but I was talking with Ron Etheridge, and he wanted to thank me for somebody that he'd referred to us as well who started to work today. So the staff are actually getting people jobs. There's a few people that we've ran into that we're having a hard time finding jobs for because of the salary that they're wanting and everything, and sometimes they don't have the education levels that are required for some of those jobs if they've been in them for a long time. But all in all, they're doing a really good job of getting people jobs. We have a new testing assistant. Her name is Jana Kingfisher. She's working full-time in our prior office. She works for the testing, does the workkeys testing, GED testing, and any of the other testing that we need. And she's there full-time in our prior office. And we've also got the high-set testing that we can do now, and we can do the paper GED, which we couldn't do before. And it's working real well. We're getting a lot more people coming in that's wanting GED testing. So we're thinking those numbers are going to go up from where they were last year because it was on computer, and some of those baby boomers didn't learn how to use those computers, so they're not coming in. But we think with the high set, it's going to help a lot. We're going to be looking at another grant. Tanya in her office sent over another one called the Job Driven Promise Grant, which is with the H-1B. We've got one grant that's still out there. We haven't heard whether we're successful in getting it through the Department of Labor, and we're going to look over this Wednesday and probably go after it. We don't know exactly whether we'll be successful, but we're trying to bring in some more grants to help with spreading the wealth around throughout the 14 counties. We have a job fair coming up this Wednesday in Jay for Councilman Snell and Councilman Buzzard up at the J Clinic. It's for the AST LLC group that's there in the industrial park. We're meeting with the state voc rehab people tomorrow. Brenda's hosting that meeting. And then we've got a lot of things going on this week and the rest of this month. We're meeting with Fort Smith Chamber on some of our training programs. And we've got a Crossing Borders meeting with OSU that starts at Carl Albert this Friday. It's for 4 counties, and several of the staff and some of the departments here at Cherokee Nation have been participating in that. Kim Teehee and Anna Knight was real instrumental in getting that set up through OSU. It's to work on regionalism for 4 counties. We were successful in getting one of our day work participants hired over at Job Corps in a teaching position. She had been on day work and teaching, couldn't find a job. She had a baby. After she had the baby, she came back and we set her up over there, and she's going to be one of the teachers over there. So, you know, our programs are working. Day training is going really good. We don't have as many slots as we normally do, but for the few that we've had, placements have been really good. And we're working with the youth parents calling and saying, I want my little darling in that program, and we can take an application, and we've got some waiting list in all the counties. And our interns are here, and they're having a reception this afternoon, and I think George is going to be here to introduce you to them.
Are they going to be here?
I'm not sure if they're coming to the committee meeting, or if, I believe there is a meet and greet reception prior to the council meeting. I think it's right after you finish with your committee meetings. I think it's down in Tribal Services Conference Room, similar to what we did last year. But we would encourage you to go by and meet them. We've got some really outstanding youth that's in that internship program this year. Questions?
I have one. Diane, with the day workers that are over at the Cherokee Springs Golf Course, someone told me that the day workers are closing the restaurant up over there, and that they don't have their proper food handling licenses. Is there a way, can you check into that to see if they are licensed or not?
We can check into it. It would be the responsibility of the facility
that's what I would
to
think
ensure
too.
that they get that, but
Yeah.
nobody has reported that to us, but we'll take care of it if
Yeah.
we need to. I will tell you that I think last month Gary may have reported it in the community development meeting, or I'm not sure which one Gary Cooper reports to, but we did put some work experience slots over there with his housing rehab program.
Really?
Dwayne Carter worked with David and George and Jeff, and they put, I think, 10 participants over there, and they started staggered over the last 2 weeks, so they're over there with housing rehab as helpers.
Any other questions for Ms. Diane Kelly?
Thank you
Yes,
for
Chief.
assisting Jerry Dry and Chris Little. They were needing some help. Thank you.
Well, and we also got Stanley John too. So we helped them out.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Diane.
You're welcome.
All right, next we got Executive Director's Report to Mr. Ron Etheridge.
Good afternoon. I know you have questions for us regarding probably multiple matters. I do have one report that I want to make prior to that regarding remember the removal bike ride. We had a situation early when I came where a gentleman that had been responsible for that left us and took a different job. And so it kind of threw a wrench into it, and it amounted to where we had to kind of divide it up, as opposed to one person just taking and going with that thing. And so anyway, I took the first leg of it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Learned so much history, thanks to Jack, and it was very rewarding, I'll just tell you. If anyone thinks it's a vacation, you need to go yourself. I'll let you go my place next year, because it's not a vacation. I mean, there's work that goes along with it, but I promise you, it is so rewarding, because just to see, you know, our ancestors and visualize what they went through, see where it started, because he took us to all the areas down there where the different routes started, and I mean, to see the history, and to see in the eyes of the young people, and I say young people, we had a 71-year-old that hanging with all of them. I can tell you right now. Watched him, observed him. He never stayed back in the back. He's always up in at least the middle to the front. And we had a law professor that we all know from Fayetteville that she stayed right up there with him as well. And in the Eastern Band, most of theirs are older people, and they went well. They started us off with a kind of a get-together, and we had two groups. We came to a Moon Shadow ropes course, and we got acquainted right there. That's where we got acquainted. And then the very next day, we go out and we had, after they rode together, they really got acquainted. They had a ceremonial jump in the body of water, and they were friends from that point forward. And then, of course, they sent us off the next day, and we went out to the Katua Mounds, and then the very next day we took off, and then Jack took over. And I tell you what, we're thankful that we got him, and the job that he does, and what he knows about the history, because you could see it in the young people. And I want to thank Shannon as well, because he sent a couple of adults, even though they're young people to me, and maybe some of y'all in here, with the Marshal Service that took over. I mean, flat just took charge. So I'm impressed, and I think it's something that we need to continue, down the road. We may need to take shortcuts, maybe cut back just a little bit in some of it. I know it's expensive, and there may be some ways that we can. But I will tell you, the genealogy report that Jack did, I mean, that's what he took. One young man, once we stopped for a little rest, 3 or 4 miles down the road, to show him where some of his ancestors' roots were, just things like that really made a big. There was a gentleman out there that wanted to donate $600. He just forked over $600, $100 bills, for the ride. There were people out there in the roads that applauded the efforts of what was happening. And so anyway, it was a big thing to me. So wanted to share that with you. Now, questions regarding anything else that we have, feel free, and I'm probably going to lean on Jennifer more than I have in the past. I mean, I lean on her all the time, but I'm really going to lean on her today. So anyway, feel free to ask.
Any questions?
I've got one announcement. Scholarship deadline is going to be this Wednesday, June 15th at 5 p.m. We do have 3,600 applications that we've been received in the office. It'll take us a little time to go through those and determine eligibility. So that's kind of where we stand as of this morning.
Yes, Chief Bird.
How many have you received?
3,600.
Wow.
And we funded
Compared
3,800
to,
last fall.
I should know this, but compared to last year?
Last fall, we funded 3,800.
Okay.
So we're getting there.
Mr. Etheridge, I commend you for taking this experience. A lot of times I had heard rumors that we were going to cut back on this trip. A good friend of mine came up with this idea, and his name is Dr. Mike Morris, back in 1980. And most of the riders from around Adair County, these were kids that dropped out, that attended VOTEC schools, and we were trying to improve the self-concept of our youth. And you would know most of these kids that went through, but we have no intentions of cutting back. We feel like the genealogy, the history of our people, that's who we are. The arts, the crafts, that's who the Cherokee people are. And if our youth do not know our history, then we can't defend the sovereignty of our tribe. So I don't feel like we should ever have any intention of cutting back. If anything, I've had requests that we should add on and have additional trips that go on this, because it's so informative. And we're very fortunate to have someone the caliber of Counselor Baker that knows the history and that guides those youth and gives us the genealogy aspect of it. He was there, then he ends up at Washington, D.C. at Smithsonian and gave us another history lesson there. So appreciate you, Jack, on what you do there. I mean, And you know, I was thinking about, you know, what you said, and I was thinking about this while we were in D.C. Actually, it would be good for this council to take and have Jack go over some of just the brief history of our, who we are and their genealogy. I mean, he really does a good job, and I don't think we take advantage of what we have here sitting next to us because, you know, it's there. And Jack, sometimes we may ask you to come in and give us a brief history of what you do for these people that do the Trail of Tears. I know I would enjoy it, and I learn every time I'm around you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Oh, yes, Councilman Baker.
It was a pleasure to be with all of them, and it is every year with the bike riders. It's a new group every year, but it's always an astounding bunch of young people. And appreciate the time with Ron.
Well, I meant what I said. It was, you made it, I mean, worth everyone's while. And appreciate the council, I mean, in support of that. But a good send-off, a great send-off. And support them when they come back. And the bonding was there before it ever started. Eastern Band played a vital role in that with the ropes course and starting that before it ever initiated, before it ever took off. I mean, everyone knew one another, felt very comfortable with one another. And we kind of rotated leads as to who led out. And of course, they're still on that trip now, so. I mean, it's important that what the marshals do. It's important what communication does. I mean, you can go on Facebook right now, and you can get a report each and every day of what goes on. So, you know, if you want to follow, just head to Facebook.
That's pretty neat. That's why you utilize technology. Jennifer, on the scholarships, I know we're going to have some kids that's going to come in late because it happens every year. They didn't get their FAFSA report in time and all this. So do you guys have staff prepared to take on these cases?
At this time, we're looking and working with administration with how we're going to handle the folks that come in on Thursday and beyond. So we'll kind of determine that in the next day or two.
Okay. Because we have them every year. You guys will get phone calls. You know, FAFSA report they didn't get their income taxes in time. They didn't get their FAFSA done, and they don't know to go ahead and submit the application even though they don't have their FAFSA report yet. So we appreciate you guys working with this as well.
But at the same time, those ones that turned theirs in on time, the 3,800,
3,600.
36?
36 now.
Well, you know, we all have deadlines, so you can't be rewarding people that is not there in a timely way.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're weighing right now is kind of what are we going to do on Thursday when we get to that point. Depending on where we are number-wise, you know, if we hit our benchmark of around 4,000 is kind of what we're looking at.
Okay.
If we go over that, you know, we're going to have to look at doing something different.
Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. And also on the immersion contract, I understand this is due the June 30th.
Correct.
Who's over getting this to the council for the application? Is this an annual application?
It's
or every
5 years.
5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we had the last one in 2011. This is going to be our first chance for renewal. And Cherokee Nation is our sponsoring agency, so it's up to them to approve us to continue the charter. So that's what we'll present to you, I guess, a little later today.
Okay. And do you guys have some numbers on what the per cap is on our immersion kids?
We can get it for you before we start that presentation when we get to that point.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, good report, Ron. I appreciate you going that right well and reporting back to us. All right, next we got Miss Verna Thompson from Head Start.
I have a comment before she gets up there.
Chief Bird, go ahead.
Hey, is Mr. George Roach back there? Yes, sir. How do you want to do this with your youth? Do you want us to come and meet after 5, or do you want to introduce them, or?
Speak any way you want to. We're just here to listen and let them observe and learn what you guys go through. And Ms. Gill's my director's here. And it's however you guys want to do it. Yes, there is a lot
let's do the 5 o'clock.
Let's do the 5 o'clock.
Sure, that's no problem.
Okay.
No problem.
Thanks, George.
We'll sit here and observe and listen and let these young people learn how what you guys go through.
Appreciate you guys taking the time being here as well. Ms. Verna?
I'm just here to answer any questions you might have on my written report submitted.
All right.
Any questions? Just a FYI, though,
Questions?
that Head Start begins school August 8th. So
Say.
if you know anybody to apply, we're looking for Head Start enrollment. And you have the packets, right, with the applications and the
Yes.
enrollment criteria?
Now, on the storm shelter, there's a grant in place.
Right. I'm
So it gets-
working with Suzanne Drywater about it.
Okay. All right.
She's working very hard, and she asked us for information, and we just feed it to her, and she's the driver in this.
Yeah. Yes, Councilman Buzzer?
Are those storm shelters going to be for
The standalone Head Start, and by that I mean if they're on Cherokee Nation property, we partner with public schools, but they won't be included in this. It's just this, like, housing authority facilities, Kenwood, Cherry Tree,
And how many is this expected to hold?
7 storm shelters.
Okay. Now, so those are going to hold how many per shelter?
They vary. There's going to be 2 of them at the Children's Village, one that will hold over 300 people.
Oh, wow.
And then the ones at the individual sites will be add-ons that will look identical to the existing facility.
Okay.
And they'll vary in size or capacity as well.
I appreciate y'all's effort for safe schools and getting a plan put in place. I know I went to y'all's leadership development academy.
Oh, yeah, we started
And
another one.
yeah, your group was talking about adding security cameras around the area to secure the property and protect the kids.
Yeah.
We haven't talked to Mickey Spears yet, but that's an avenue we need to take
Okay.
on possible surplus equipment and so forth. And who else I visited? I don't know if it was Shannon. Shannon, did I visit with you on that, on those security cameras?
No.
I forgot who it was I visited with, but they said it was an inexpensive cost. The cameras itself were. So let's keep talking about this and get the ball rolling on that.
Yeah, that was their MIP, and they asked questions about it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get with you later on about it.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, Sequoia High School. We got Mr. Superintendent Leroy Qualls.
Good afternoon, everyone.
No.
I think the report I sent you is pretty much a summary of activities throughout the year, and I'm not going to report on that. It's quite lengthy. I think it's around 4 pages or so. But I can give you updates on some things that have happened since school has gotten out. You know, of course, with like all other schools, we're closing everything out this year by June 30th and getting ready to gear up the new fiscal year for schools start July 1st. And I know that's different than the Cherokee Nation calendar, but that's what we have. We've got plenty of camps going on this summer at Sequoia. We've got the Starbase Camp, got the USDA Camp, Camp Cherokee. OSU's hosting a camp at our place Thursday and Friday. We've had several basketball camps. So today, you know, thinking that school's out and it's summer and how's it going, we have a lot of little people running around our campus today, having a great time. I went to the Indian All-State Games. I think they're called the Native Games now, for the first inaugural games that were this past weekend. I was fortunate enough to be keynote speaker Friday night. Really enjoyed my experience. I even enjoyed more so watching our kids play on Saturday. Jackie Wright, Taylor Al participated for the girls, and Tosh Davis was the leading scorer in the game for the boys. And that included a couple of big recruits going to OSU and another one going to a major college, and one of our kids was the leading scorer in the ball game. And for a Cherokee kid, Parker Taylor, he was the second leading scorer and had 16. Tosh had 22. So our kids represented us well. We're in the midst of our application process for next fall currently. We have, give you a little history. 2 years ago, we have a rubric, first of all, that we go by. So many points to automatically get into Sequoia. We'd love to take all the kids, but there's no possible way that we can. 2 years ago, we had 43 that qualified automatic, which is great. That's a good number for freshmen coming in. Last year, I think it was 52. This year it was 79. It kind of, to me, I want to give you a little history and the trend that the quality of kids that we're seeing coming in. I'm talking knocking your socks off academically and talk about athletics, but we got some really, of course, you know, we had 2 Gates winners this past year. Football field inspection is supposed to be on July 21st. And we're planning to host an open house for the dorms sometime around school beginning, maybe an open house before school starts. There's been a lot of good improvements. Looks really good. My thanks to the construction people that have done it and done a great job. And also to C&E, who's contributed some things, furnishings to put in the dorms to help it make it look like a home and appear to be a nice home for the kids. And I'll reemphasize, because I said it a little bit too early last time, 0 dropouts this year. But we hung on and got there. College and Career Tech this past year, give you a little history also. We had 20-something 2 years ago. We just started doing that 2 years ago. Last year we had, I think, 31, and this year we had 44. And that was colleges, career techs, and businesses coming for our kids to tour and visit with, and also our 7th and 8th grade to come over and visit. Graduation ceremonies were excellent. We had 4 that final week. Really appreciative of all the hard work that everyone done. Ms. Davis had 3 for the immersion school. They had it all set up well, and the high school, of course, had her seniors graduate that last day. And my hat goes off to our teachers, our coaches, our students, and our staff. I mean, throughout, we're doing such a good job for Sequoia. I wanted to say that before I said this. I was sitting in a COSA meeting Thursday afternoon, I believe, in Norman, and Joy Hoffmeister was giving the speech. And they had us visiting with, you know, we had to ask our buddies sitting beside us questions and things like that. So the lady sitting to my right asked me where I was from, and I told her. She said, "Man, you guys have got a great high school." And it just floored me. I always say that we do, but to have somebody off at Holdenville, wherever that is, I've never been there, say that, it just tickled me to death. And I just thought I'd share that little moment with you guys. And, you know, I congratulate our kids, and I know that I've got a lot of good friends in all of our schools in eastern Oklahoma. Everybody's had their own victories at their own schools. What I learned at COSA, we're a great big team. And right now we're battling the budget deficit and trying to keep our funds for our schools. And it's a tough go. And maybe it may even be tougher next year than it was this year. Probably will be. But anyway, that's my report, just to catch up. If you've got any questions about the one that I gave you or whatever I talked about or anything else, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And last time I had Ms. Choate here to give a little bit of information about the high school. Today I've got Ms. Davis here from our Cherokee Immersion School to give a little bit of information about her students and her staff.
Good afternoon. Right now, the immersion school is having summer school. We have summer school every year, and it's the month of June. We start June 1st and end the 30th. It's more cultural than anything. We have a kind of circle time in the morning to review our language, and then we have lots of cultural activities. And we go hunting for crawdads, and we do traditional foods, and our summer school pertains to culture more than anything, and just language. We just speak and use our language skills. Our fifth through eighth is participating in summer school also, and it's through a grant, and it's a college readiness grant. And not only are they having Cherokee for our fifth through eighth, they have a portion of their day just language, because they've been out of immersion, the full immersion, for a few years, and so we like to keep them going with it because the language is easily forgotten if not used every day. So we make sure they get that. And then with the college readiness, I believe they've visited at least one college, and they may be on their second one today. And it's part of the grant is they want the students to be ready to start thinking. And the earlier you start thinking about college, the more prepared you are. You'll know when due dates are, and you'll know what to have filled out and what to include in your application. And we're probably one of the few schools that start as early as 5th grade. So, and that was through a grant. We are doing a few things at school for some improvement. We have 2 modulars, 5th and 6th in one, and 3-year-olds through 4th in another. And we've had a walkway between the 2 buildings, but it's been open. We're now enclosing it, and we'll lock all the doors in the small children's side, and there'll be emergency doors only. And so everyone that comes in will come in at the office. And so we will be able to see everyone. They will circle around and go through the walkthrough and get to the other side. But that way we have a full view on everyone that comes in the building, because right now they can go in the other building anytime. They just walk right in. So that's kind of one of our safety concerns has been, and so we're addressing it. We're also addressing the need for, we have this huge, wonderful piece of playground equipment, but in June and July it gets a little warm, so we're putting a cover over it so that the kids can continue to play on it, because that's where they want to play, but when you touch it and you burn it, that's going down that slide is pretty tough on those kids. So they're on it right now. I actually left the crew putting up the 4 beams. So we're also in the process of moving another modular to our campus so that we can move 7th and 8th grade to our campus. Right now, 7th and 8th grade is at the new gym. There's classrooms there, and they're kind of in this place where they don't belong to anyone. They're not high schoolers, they're not elementary, they're really not sure what they are, and we felt better about having 7th and 8th graders over with us and away from high school, because 7th and 8th graders and high schoolers, it's not always the best influence when they see these big kids and they think they can do some of the same things. So we're moving the building from Lowry. And we have a spot already, dirt works has been done for a couple of years. It was just the matter of finding the building. So now we'll have 7th and 8th grade for next year with us. And our teachers are already working on collaboration to make sure that our language teachers and our English teachers are working together and just making our curriculum stronger. We have 5th and 6th that's half day. They're Cherokee in the morning and English in the afternoon, and so they're going to be able to work with the 7th and 8th grade teachers in a much closer fashion, because it's really hard to get advice when they're way over on the other side of the high school campus. So we're in the process of doing that, and hopefully they'll have it done and remodeled and ready for us for the first day of school.
Any questions? I'll commend you for decreasing the transition for those kids, those 7th and 8th graders. Kids that are in the Tulsa public school system and Union, they'll transition 4 times before they get to high school, and they don't have that that relationship with their schools. So it's good that you guys are developing that. So definitely increases the student achievement rates.
And we have a, Mr. Qualls was talking about his applications, we've done ours, and we have a waiting list for 7th and 8th grade right now. And we've had more applicants for the whole school this year than we have in a couple of years. So the word is out that we're doing what we should be doing, and so our applications are growing also.
Is there a max amount of number of kids that you can take for the charter?
Just as the state law says, 20 per student. Well, and actually state has put a lien on that, but we keep it, we would never go over 20 per student in a classroom.
But what I'm saying, if there was space available, could you guys increase your?
Oh, shoot, yeah. If we had the room, we'd take every kid that applied.
Okay. The other side of that is the impact aid. Where are we with that?
The last call I had, and I sent an email today, our impact aid, I don't know, go-to guy, Lloyd Matthews, I'm sure you've worked with him.
Yes.
Okay, he had an issue that we were receiving, your Cherokee Nation, you're receiving federal funds. And that's not the case. And so I had him actually call because he didn't believe me. We're not a federal fund, and we receive no federal funds as of right now. So he spoke with Jennifer Pigeon and Lacey Horn to explain the fact that the Cherokee Nation funds are not federal funds.
Okay.
So I sent him an email today asking where he was in the process, because we have 3 years worth of applications in. The first one being the first application when you helped us, which would be a partial one because we were after the deadline, but the next 2 have been on time.
Be 100%.
Yeah.
Would you also CC that to our legal counsel?
Certainly.
She could review it and share
Okay.
it with us.
Sure, that would be pack a punch. Yes, we need help with things like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Holly? Mr. Cross?
Keep up the good work.
Everything done? Good job.
Thank you.
All right, down to new business. Councilwoman Hargis, would you please take this?
This is a resolution certifying compliance with 24 CFR Chapter 9, and this is something, Shannon, would you like to address this?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
I put this in form of a motion, I'm sorry.
All right, we got a motion, second. All right, open it for discussion.
Verna spoke quite briefly on this during her presentation. This is about the storm safe rooms for the Head Start facilities. Suzanne Drywater, one of my staff that writes all of our grants, her and the emergency manager found this grant and thought it'd be very appropriate. It's a very limited grant. However, this grant is only intended for Head Start programs that's on tribal land. So there's 8 of them. So we're going to be able to fund 8 Head Start safe rooms. It's going to be 8 facilities in Kenwood, Cherry Tree, Pryor, Wahila up in Nowata, Redbird, J. Those are going to be 400 square foot facilities that's going to be attached to the existing building, and they can hold about 80 people. So that's kind of where these are not community storm shelters at all. They were specifically paid for and designed for the staff, students, and any parents or family members that are there to pick the kids up if a storm happens. There's going to be 2 facilities at the Children's Village at the Circle. One is specifically for infants, and the other one will be for other children. This one's going to be, the big one's going to be 2,000 square foot and hold about 400 people. The second one's going to be 800 square foot and hold about 160 people for the infants. The grant's around $800,000. So what this is a resolution kind of showing that we have citizen participation. So we've gone out and got participation from the community to say if we get this grant, yes, we want it, and we will help. So that's kind of where we're at. Any questions?
I do ask that this be moved to full council tonight.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Councilman Lay?
If you have it, is there a design that went with that you might share with council?
The design is kind of fluid because it depends on what that building looks like, but it's going to resemble an everyday classroom to allow children the comfort and the structure needed to be calm during any hazardous environment. And the facility will consist of insulated concrete forms, which are what's called ICFs. I don't personally know what that is, but that result in a cast-in-place concrete walls sandwiched between two layers of material. They are disaster-resistant and safe sound blocking ability. So that's, other than that, I just know that what they're going to do is the contractor, whoever wins the bid, will go out to each one of these 8 sites, look at the location, because they're going to decide on what side of the building it's got to go on, what's the access and all that. So I don't know a lot right now. We're just really in the grant. I'm pretty confident that we will receive this grant. On that note, my emergency manager is looking at any and every grant that we could possibly do to help our communities. So I know some of you have asked about some community shelters. We're actively looking right now for grants to be able to place shelters in communities, but if we find one, hopefully I'll be in front of you for that. But until then, this one's the one that we have. So.
Yes, Councilman Lay?
If I could, like to be added as a sponsor.
Okay. Anybody else like to be added as a sponsor? Put everyone on there, Shay. All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Appreciate you, Shane. Thank you. What was your name?
This is Christine. I'm Christina Carroll with Grant Services.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I talked to you at the gas station that one day, yeah. All right.
She needed your help.
And this will go to full council tonight.
Yes, it will. Yeah, appreciate your help. All right.
She fill up the tanks too.
Well, I was trying to get employee discount. I think the family runs the thing.
Okay.
All right.
Councilman Jordan?
Councilman Jordan, take number 2.
I'd like to withdraw that at this time.
Motion to withdraw. That's all you need.
Yes, Councilman Jordan.
I'll second it, but can we send questions to you or you on this act?
Sure. On this
I've
one?
got a lot of questions.
Oh, on the motor fuels?
Oh, Sharon, too.
On the
CC
act.
Yes, yeah.
Sharon?
Yeah, if you guys have questions on this, just send them to Councilman Jordan, myself, and Sharon Swepston, and we can talk further on it. So,
Okay.
all right. Number 3.
You.
Okay. This is a discussion only, education for incarcerated Cherokees. And again, we introduced Mr. Dan Hadaway. He's the senior principal for the Oklahoma Department of Corrections, and he's here to ask for some assistance for Cherokees that are interested in college classes at Eddie Warrior and some other ones. So Dan, you have the floor.
Yes, I'm here basically to make an appeal, obviously, for Cherokees who are incarcerated who need help with college tuition. Many of you may not be aware that we have a very robust education program in our prisons, anything from literacy, adult basic education. We do high school equivalency testing. We also do cognitive changes, thinking for a change, life skills classes, in order to try to get them ready to, when they come out of prison, that they're ready to be part of society and not return. The one type of course that is not free is college, where the college courses that inmates might want to take cost something, and we don't have the funding within the Department of Corrections to pay for those type of courses. I have a unique setting at Eddie Warrior, which I want to tell you about. But initially, I thought you would want an overview, so I prepared this single sheet to try to give you an overview of what's going on at the various prisons that are at least on my side of the state. I have 9 that I have oversight of the education program. You can see as far as the different colleges that offer classes. Connor State College, we have been tied closely with the 2 prisons in Taft since the late 90s. But also Eastern Rose State's very prominent. Dick Connors uses the Tulsa Community College. The delivery of courses is in many different ways. The number of courses is quite, there's a variety of offerings that are available. But again, courses can only make, at a place like Taft, we can't have a class of 1 person. So we have to have a minimum of 10 or 12 people in order to fund a particular college professor. So it's important, the funding that comes in to get inmates into college so that we can actually offer the courses on site. And this is true other places as well as at Taft. I tried to give you kind of a general idea of what the cost is for a normal 3-hour course at those different colleges. On the back side of that sheet, for what I could gather from from the sites, I tried to get a look at the different Indian tribe, Native American tribes that actually did fund inmates in some form or another. Some of them are a full scholarship, some of them are partial scholarship. Some pay for books, some don't. But there is an arrangement that we work on. Each one of our sites has a college coordinator who is the person that works with both the college and the tribe in order to make that happen. When you look at this list, it doesn't look like a lot of people. And it really isn't a lot of people when you consider the sheer number of people that are incarcerated. But it is a significant number of people. The Eddie Warrior site that I work at is a women's site. This is my base site. There are about 1,000 women incarcerated there, and since 1997, we have had a special relationship with an organization called the Friends of Eddie Warrior. Suzanne Edmondson set this up in about 1997, and the purpose of that foundation is to underwrite indigent inmates to take college classes, and they are allowed to take 1 course per semester. They pay a $5 or $10 nominal fee, and the foundation itself picks up the rest of it. So, knowing that Councilman Garvin and Committee Chairman Walking Stick wanted to know about Cherokees, I was hard pressed to get data on Cherokees. But Eddie Warrior is a little window into interest by Cherokees in college education. At Eddie Warrior, I looked at the last year, there were 199 unique people that took college classes using this Friends of Eddie Warrior grant. Some were self-pay, but many of them used the Friends of Eddie Warrior grant. Of those 199 people, 7 of them were Cherokees, and that are still on the yard. And what I did was I went to those 7 people last Thursday and asked them to write a letter about what it would mean if they were helped to take these college classes, knowing that currently they can only take 1 a semester. That's it. So obviously the movement is slowly, but it's important. And I wrote down a little snippet of what they wrote, but I put their whole letter in this packet. And I did that. I got a release from them in order to do that so that you could use their names, so that I could use their names. But the important thing is that they have very powerful words that are within this document. And what it says is 4 basic things. Is that by taking college classes, they are, number one, it helps them in the day-to-day in a prison because it gives them a goal, it gives them something that they know will be beneficial when they get out. It's interesting, it's something new. Many of them thought college was a dream, and then it became a goal, and then when it becomes a real thing, it's amazing. Where they're actually in class, working with a professor, and who knows, making an A or B in the class, something to brag about. It makes a difference. It changes people's lives. It changes the trajectory that they're on. The second thing it does is that it allows them to earn credits. They get 30 credits, which is like days served per 3-hour course, and 90 if they get their associate's degree. So every 3 hours, they get 30 credits. So they can build up a significant number of credits to help them get released the whole time working towards this goal of getting an associate's degree. The third thing is it gives them the ability to go to a future employer and say, yes, I've taken college classes. I took some in business management, or I took some in enterprise. I took some in liberal studies because I want to get my associates in accounting. To be able to say that, yes, I did do that. I've done that. I've made A's or B's in these classes is a step in the right direction when you're working with an employer. The fourth thing, which I think is more important than the other three, because I largely work in a women's prison, but I think it changes the trajectory of the whole family. When we have a parent or a grandmother, a mother or a grandmother, get a GED, and then she says, I'm the first one in the family, and I'm going to tell my son he can do it too. If I can do it, he can do it. If they take college classes and pass a college class, that was something that was not attainable in that family. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, I'm the first person to. And it's always a positive. It's always meaningful. But yeah, I just would appreciate your consideration on this. I think it is something that is worthwhile. It's money well spent. You may feel like, well, I can't save thousands of incarcerated people. We're not trying to save thousands. There are a few people who are interested in college, who will work at it, who will meet the deadlines, who will get their paperwork turned in, who will do their coursework, and as a result of that, be more confident and be more able when they get released in order to hold down a good job and be a contributing member of our society.
Thank you. Chief Bird?
Yes, youth, just bear with us just a few more minutes. We're going to introduce you, and those seats are kind of hard. We made them that way so nobody would go to sleep. But we're almost wrapping up here. We'll introduce you, but we wholeheartedly support your endeavor there with our tribal members. You know, tribes can take care of their members. You know, it's kind of sad that non-tribal members, you wonder how they get their education funded there. But I just want to read briefly to the crowd here on what I have in front of me. And I'm going to keep it short, and I will not list the name, but you'll know who I'm talking about.
Sure.
It says, I am writing in regards to my inability to further my education with college classes offered here. This is due to my inability to pay for them privately or through my tribe. It would mean a great deal to myself and other tribal members here if that would change. I already have some college credits, and now that my head is on straight, I will not disappoint you, my tribe, or myself. This will assist in my goals of being a success in life upon my release. Thank all of you for your time, consideration. God bless. You know, the writing skills in itself, and that determination in that letter really gives you hope and confidence that they're very sincere in what they're saying here. So what we probably need to do is get with our education people and put some numbers together for us with your cooperation and see what kind of numbers we're actually talking about here. And like you say, we can't help all the thousands, but there's only going to be a few of these that actually come forward that's able to complete the application.
I would say at a place like Eddie Warrior, maybe 3 a semester.
Yes.
We're not talking a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Yes, Councilman Garvin?
I just want to say thank you to Dan for giving us this good report, and reading through those, it's very moving, and I think we'll be able to help. And be in contact with Ron, he's probably in contact.
Ron has already been very helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dan, we appreciate you coming. Again, if you guys get a chance, council, read some of these letters. They're really heart-moving, and they're sincere. We all make mistakes, and we all fall short, but these people are willing to change and impact society. So, Dan, we appreciate your service on that.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be in touch with you. All right, thank you, Dan. All right, next, number 4, Councilman Byrd, would you take that?
Okay. This is a resolution renewing the charter of the Junadesquasti Cherokee Immersion School and approving the contract with the Junadesquasti Cherokee Immersion School Board. Put that in form of a motion.
We got a motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion?
Anybody here from charter?
From the Jennifer and Holly? Is the whole council, is everyone familiar with the charter? Not really?
The funding that I understand, as I talked to Chairman Walkenstick this morning, is it like $350,000? Is that correct?
Well, on average, we get about $500,000 a year.
Okay.
This year with the state funding cuts, just like public schools, our charter school did suffer some cuts. We're in the neighborhood of 480 at the moment, so we did see some of those reductions also.
And there is a deadline?
There's a deadline for a renewal of the charter. It's going to be June 30th that expires. So we've brought to you an almost identical copy of what we submitted in 2011, and just looking for you to continue our charter for the next 5 years, which will take us from July 1st of 2016 up through June 30 of 2021.
And if approved, this needs to go to full council?
Yes.
Did you ever find out what the funding was per cap?
Charter school, we have around $14,000 per student, and state averages around $8,500. So the difference is that we create a lot of our own material in-house. We have to have our own curriculum department, we have to have our own translators, because we don't have textbooks that we can just go out and buy and use in the classroom.
So with the state charter, they're giving us $14,000 per kid?
No. They give us, we get the same as any other state aid allocation.
So we're getting $8,000 per kid. How many students we have?
120?
Yeah.
And we're getting $500,000?
Well, we get $500,000 from the state, and the rest is from tribe and the CARTAG funds. So we spent about $1.8 million last year. And with 120 students, puts us right at 14 and some change.
Okay, so it's $4,000 per kid is what we're getting per cap.
From the state.
From the state. And the state's giving public schools $8,000 per kid.
That's
So
what they
they're getting,
spend per student.
yeah. So it's severely underfunded. From the state to the tribe, it's severely underfunded.
Yes.
The tribe discretionary dollars, it's $14,000 per kid.
Yes.
Yes.
And these are
So-
tribal members. Excuse me.
So we're kicking in $10,000 per kid from the tribe.
Right.
Okay.
These students are tribal members. All of them.
Yes.
So what's the pros and cons of the charter school? Like, why should we keep the charter school?
Okay. Excuse me. I have been at immersion. My very first year, we were tribal school, and I've been charter for 5 years, and it's been a struggle up and down. I mean, there were times when it was really difficult. We've actually discussed, is it worth what we what little amount we're getting to jump through all their hoops.
What are the hoops?
Well, we do every report that the State Department does. We do testing, achievement testing in English, and we're teaching in Cherokee. I've more than one time challenged anyone that is not a speaker to take our translated third grade achievement test and see how well they could do. But in the last 2 years, one thing that we have incorporated into our system is that we are now offering English tutoring after school. And we have some software that gives us a baseline, and we have this year was the first year to use it, and we have students who have jumped 2 and 3 grade levels just with this software and 2 hours of after-school tutoring. And we have gone down as low as kindergarten with after-school tutoring in English. So that's helping with our test, which was our biggest issue. We were never going to pass it the way we were set up. So the biggest thing as an administrator, the biggest pro for me for charter school is the fact that it gives us some support. And when I first started, we were, and credibility. We were referred to as the school, it was just very, very parent-led. When I started, I had kids, third graders in 5th grade, because that's where mom thought they should be. We had no kind of establishment to support, to run the place like a school. It was really more like a daycare, and we now use the same laws and regulations as the State Department. You cannot enter kindergarten. You have to be 5 on or before September 1st to enter kindergarten, that kind of thing. It's very easy when a parent wants something done that should not be done, like I said, moved or whatever it may be, to say the law doesn't allow us to do that. It also opens up a lot of opportunities for grants, impact aid, federal grants through the State Department. This will be the first year we've received Title I, which is not huge amounts, and it also impresses parents when they see that we're doing exactly what Woodall's doing for accountability. We do every report that every public school does, because as a charter, we are a public school. And today we did our statistical report and came out perfectly. Our accreditation report is had no deficiencies. So that's, in my opinion, the biggest pros is the support it gives us to provide a better education by not letting we're not so parent-led. And our parents come in now knowing what's expected of them. So.
Is there any comments? Yes, Councilman Lake.
And this is really a good conversation because I wanted to ask your question, and I know I'm serving on with at least a half a dozen educators on this council and the educational group, and I've always wondered which is the best for us to do, and you all have too, and it's a really good conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's interesting, the funding. We talked to our Chief of Staff, Hoskins, since he's a state rep when they was doing the budgeting, to advocate for the Cherokee Nation to fund appropriately. We can't get ad valorem tax. We can't do bonds. The tribe is funding our kids almost 80%. And again, it goes back to the state's relying on the tribe to carry the water. So, and some of the comments you made, pros and cons, federal grants, impact aid, Title I, II, III, those are grant opportunities that could tremendously offset what the tribe is putting into the immersion. Their potential. every time I visited Lloyd Matthews about impact aid, there's always lacking something, a document with the tribe and its contract to get impact aid. My only amendments, if there could be to this application, is that we put language in there that we do qualify for impact aid, something in big bold print, because they're not getting it in Washington D.C. and we're lacking some documentation from the State Department of Education, and that could really help us out. Yes, Mr. Qualls?
I think something to that effect would help with the cause of what we're trying to achieve as an emerging school. The ability to go after impact aid and city council backs it, tribe backs it. The other thing is the credibility and accountability piece that she mentioned earlier. You know, at the high school, we haven't had any deficiencies. You know, we're having to turn away kids, and that's a good problem. I think I heard her mention that she's had more applicants this past year than she's ever had. Must be doing something right. And with the community knowing that there's accountability there and there's no deficiencies with any type of accreditation, the immersion schools reports have been flawless. It's one thing that we pride ourselves in, and then we have to have a vision of what kind of school do we want to have. You know, she kind of went over what it was like a few years back. I'm not saying it was a bad school, but what kind of school do we want to strive for and to work for?
Being over federal programs over Muskogee, all the hoops that they make us jump through to get $400,000 for Title I, II, and III grants isn't worth the time that we put into it for 6,000 students. It costs more money to do all that, get accreditation, after school tutoring. It costs us a lot of money to get to $400,000. So I was asking you, is it worth it? The charter itself is, the immersion is going to stay.
Right.
But the charter, is it worth it?
Right. Well, you know, when we first went charter, I didn't think it was. But I think we have it down. I mean, it's taken a couple of years. We've tried it, you know, at the end of every year, we evaluate what we do right, what we do wrong, what we do, you know, and we were actually losing children at about that first and second grade level because parents started worrying about their English at that time. We were okay until then, but now we're able to say, you know, we're tutoring them because originally immersion was to be responsible for their education in Cherokee and parents were to be responsible for their education in English. But that doesn't happen. We all know that. We all have busy lives. We have ball games. We have whatever. You know, it's just so about that time we would start losing our kids. They would start going to public schools, and so I at one time did not think that we could even do it. I didn't think it could be done. I truly thought it's going to have to be one way or the other. But when we got help with a grant. And then we have, an example. Last year's seventh graders on their math test, 42% passed math. This year, as eighth graders, 78% passed. So, you know, we're seeing such growth now that, and we're providing all-around students. We've got these students during the day that are in full immersion speaking Cherokee, and then their English tutor comes in because we don't want to cross the line with Cherokee and English. Because we were for a while. We were having those Cherokee teachers stop at the end of the last hour of the day and do some reviewing in English. So we had, you know, a double load on some of these teachers. And then we were able to separate completely the two components, and it has, and you know, we have had more parents that have appreciated the fact that, you know, we've kind of made their lives easier also by offering English tutoring. And we still have some that need to come that don't. We've made it mandatory for the lower if they're not at grade level, which we gave them the software program, and it tells you grade level. And if you're not at grade level, then you stay for after-school tutoring. And actually, the first hour is the intense tutoring, and hour 2 is more, it's kind of like Janice Randall's after-school. Yes, yes, thank you. It's set up very similar to that. Yeah, yeah. And so I feel like we have done the best job the 5 years I've been here, this past year, that we've ever done while I've been here. That was our best year. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it looks like we've turned a corner, and you know, I'm interested in how our students, of course, has progressed with their test scores. And, you know, you just gave me some information that leads me to believe that we're headed in the right direction. But I also stated early back when Dr. Morton gave the report, when the time comes when the state wants to impose too many of their ways upon us, like we can't salute the flag and say the prayers, then you know what we're going to say. You take your charter and just take it. But it sounds like we're doing okay with it. I was going to ask Attorney General Rep here, Chrissy Nemo, what is the length of this agreement if we approve it?
So, and this addressed Councilor Walkingstick's concerns as well. What we're asking the tribal council to do today is renew the charter for 5 years. Okay. What we're also asking in this resolution is to give Chief Baker the authority to sign the contract. So the tribal council grants the charter, but we also enter into a contract between the Cherokee Nation and the charter school that reflect the terms in the charter, and the chief will actually be the one signing that, and this resolution gives him the authority to amend that. So Councilor Walkingstick, if there's some specific language that we need included in the contract to grant some type of aid, the chief can amend that contract without coming back to tribal council and adding whatever language we would need for that aid. So the contract mirrors the charter, but if we need to add additional terms to that to meet some type of funding, the chief would be able to do that.
Do we need to make an amendment here in this body?
No, it's already in the resolution allowing after this if the body votes to grant the charter to the school, the resolution then allows, as it did in the past, the chief and it would actually be the president of the charter school board to enter into a contract with those terms, and we would be able, if we followed up in the funding application and there was specific language about impact aid or our area that needed to be included, we would be able to simply make an amendment to the contract and not have to come back and amend the charter between the school and the nation, and the charter is effective for 5 years.
Okay, I would hate to vote on this and then for 5 years be stuck without impact aid. If there's a way to pass it upon the contingency that the charter is eligible for impact aid dollars.
I don't believe that those are, we have to include in the charter that the council will grant specific terms per the Oklahoma Charter School Act. It says these are the things that have to be included in the charter. I don't think putting language saying the charter school is eligible for impact aid. I think what we would need to do in the contract that the chief would sign is include whatever provisions, and I don't know them off the top of my head, that 80% of your student is at or below poverty, or that they live in rural areas. Whatever those terms are, we could add those by amendment to the contract later, and it should not be affected by the terms that are actually included in the charter that we're asking the council to approve today.
Makes sense.
And we will work with you, our office will work with you and the charter school. I know that we're still waiting on some information back from the state to make sure whatever language that they require is included in the contract. And if it's not already covered, then we can make an amendment to the contract on a moment's notice, because the chief can sign that.
Well, for whatever reason, the State Department is holding up the impact aid per Lloyd Matthews. So it needs to be very clear that we need to get those impact aid dollars.
Do we know what their reasoning for withholding impact aid is?
They told me I have to go back and visit Mr. Matthews and see what the holdup is on that.
My last comment, the last comment he made to me was the fact that it was double dipping because we were already receiving the federal money, which we're not.
And we can work with the charter school on, you know, maybe it's a letter that we need to draft from the treasurer, from the AG,
Right,
saying these
right,
funds aren't
right.
federal funds. But we can follow up on that, separate from the actual charter that grants the school the ability to operate as a charter school.
Okay. Well, we need to make that happen. However way we need to do that, that needs to be language in that contract. Okay? All right, thank you.
We'll make sure it happens.
All right.
Got a motion second.
Yeah, motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Announcements, seeing none. Hear a motion to adjourn? So moved. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.